Greetings, I'm Herc Castro, coming to you from our state-of-the-art Suspension Development Center in Colorado Springs. Today we're going to learn how to service the RockShox Lyric and Totem two-step forks. Here are the 3 steps. First, remove the air spring. Second, disassemble the air spring. Third, reassemble the air spring. Unless you've done this many times before, we sure do recommend that you check out these RockShox product manuals, which are on the SRAM website as PDFs. Please print these out and read through them before you put your bike in the stand. Okay, enough preliminaries, let's get down to business. At this point, you should already have the lowers removed from your fork. Verify that all air pressure is removed from the air chamber before proceeding. Now remove the 2-step Schrader valve using a Schrader valve tool. Using a 2mm hex wrench, remove the 2-step adjuster fixing screw and control knob. Using a 24mm socket wrench, unthread and remove the 2-step top cap. Inspect the top cap O-ring for damage and replace if necessary. Remove the fork from the bicycle stand and pour any remaining oil into an oil pan. Now return the fork to the stand. Using an internal snap ring pliers, remove the retaining ring from the bottom of the left upper tube. Gently pull on the air shaft to remove the entire 2-step assembly. Finally, remove the lower seal head from the shaft assembly and set it aside. Okay, so now separate the 2-step assembly into 3 parts: shaft assembly, air tube, and piston housing. It's important not to pull the shaft past the bleed holes on the air tube, as this may damage the O-rings. Remove the shaft out of the top of the air tube opposite the bleed holes. Also, remove the lower floating piston from the air tube by pushing it out of the top using a dowel or plastic rod. Remove the internal floating piston from the IFP housing. Inspect the IFP housing for damage or scratches, paying close attention to the inside surface of the IFP housing. If damaged or scratched, replace the IFP housing. Remove the piston O-ring. Clean the piston with isopropyl alcohol. Apply a few drops of suspension oil to a new O-ring and reinstall. Now, this is important. If using a pick to remove the O-rings, do not scratch the lower seal head or O-rings. Scratches will cause permanent air leaks. Inspect the IFP piston housing O-ring for damage and replace if necessary. Reassemble the IFP and IFP piston housing. The IFP should be inserted into the housing with the O-ring side down. Press the IFP into the IFP piston housing until it bottoms out completely. Spray isopropyl alcohol on the inside and outside of the air tube and wipe clean with a rag. Inspect the air tube for damage and scratches. Replace if necessary. Next, return to the lower seal head. Remove the inner and outer lower seal head O-rings. Apply a few drops of suspension oil to the new O-rings and reinstall. Remove the lower floating piston inner and outer O-rings. Spray the lower floating piston with isopropyl alcohol and wipe with a clean rag. Apply a few drops of suspension oil to the new O-rings. Remove the rubber cushion and, using a flathead screwdriver, carefully remove the top-out spring assembly from the air shaft. Spray with isopropyl alcohol and wipe with a clean rag. Using external snap ring pliers, remove the retaining ring and wavy spring washer located on top of the main piston. Remove the inner and outer piston O-rings. Spray the main piston with isopropyl alcohol and wipe with a clean rag. Apply a few drops of suspension oil to the new O-rings and reinstall. Okay, we're in the home stretch. Inspect the face seal O-ring, making sure it's seated properly. A properly seated O-ring will not have any distortion in its shape. Spray the air shaft with isopropyl alcohol and wipe with a clean rag. Inspect the air shaft for damage or scratches. Replace if needed. Reassemble the main piston and kick plate and install them onto the air shaft. Slide the wavy washer on top of the main piston and secure it into place with a snap ring. Install the top-out spring assembly, rubber cushion, and lower floating piston onto the air shaft. Do not install the lower seal head yet. Install the shaft assembly into the air tube, air valve first, in the side opposite the 2 holes on the air tube. Push the assembly in enough so that the air shaft extends out of the tube 1 to 2 inches. Install the lower seal head on the shaft assembly. Measure and pour 5 cc's of 15-weight suspension oil into the top of the air tube assembly. Insert the IFP piston housing into the air tube assembly, being careful not to spill the oil already in the air tube. Lightly grease the lower seal head outer O-ring, then insert the two-step assembly into the bottom of the upper tube. Secure with a retaining ring. The retaining ring must be fully seated in the upper tube groove. Check closely to ensure a secure fit. Gently pull down on the air shaft to extend it to its maximum length. For the Lyric, measure and pour 35 cc's of 2.5 weight suspension oil into the top of the upper tube. For the Totem, measure and pour 135 cc's of 2.5 weight suspension oil into the top of the upper tube. To bring any trapped air bubbles to the top, tap the side of the upper tube with your hand, then gently wiggle the shaft side to side. Gently pull down on the air shaft again to make sure it's at full extension. The oil will just reach the bottom of the upper tube threads, so remove any excess oil. As little as 2 cc's can make a difference in the travel adjustment performance. Insert the top cap into the upper tube and crown, and hand thread it into the upper tube. Using the two-step adjuster knob, turn the adjuster to the minimum travel setting. Now remove the adjuster knob and using a 24mm socket wrench, tighten the top cap to 60 inch-pounds. Install the two-step adjuster knob and secure the fixing screw with a 2mm hex wrench. Since the adjuster is set to the minimum travel position, make sure the knob is installed accordingly. Install the Schrader valve into the bottom of the air shaft using a Schrader valve tool. Add 100 psi to the two-step system. Rotate the adjuster knob to the minimum travel position, it should be there already, and compress the air shaft to ensure proper function. Rotate the adjuster knob to its full travel position and verify return to full extension. Okay, you're done. Time to reinstall the lower legs and take it for a test ride.